Lessons learned from Helm's Deep for the design of my impregnable mountain fortress. I will not build a solid stone ramp all the way up to my main gate. My enemies might use it to, I don't know, bring up a battering ram or something. I will install a drawbridge. I am convinced that this will help. I will dig a ditch in front of the fortress so that my enemies will have a tough time getting to the wall with any siege equipment they may have, like ladders. I will invest in this new moat technology, as I have great faith in it. I will put crenellations on top of my battlements tall enough to cover a standing man completely, so that my archers have somewhere good to hide while loading their bows. I will put a banister rail along the back of my battlements, so that I do not suffer many needless casualties from men falling off the wall. I will make my sallyport more substantial than just an ordinary wooden door, and I will locate it where it leads somewhere useful, rather than straight onto an isolated ledge. Should I sally out from my fortress, I will take care not to start a charge while still inside a room in my keep, especially if I'm on horseback. This will avoid sudden, embarrassing congestion in the doorway. Just then, the editor had an agonising seizure and had to stop.
Oh, my back! Yes, for years I have been suffering terribly with my back because of hour upon long, lonely hours spent in front of this infernal machine, editing when I should be bounding across the plains, hunting deer, but I'm not. I tried various things. I tried buying a cheap office chair that was spinny and leant back and looked like a Bond villain thing. I thought, aha, this'll do it, but no. The headrest was at shoulder blade height for me, and it pushed me forward into a terrible position. It was just far too small for me, so I got rid of it and replaced it with this, you may be surprised to learn. It's like a fat bicycle seat, which I've upholstered in beige, but the long hours I have spent squirming upon it because they market them to women, you know, and I'm not surprised because there's just nowhere for a gentleman to put his bits. There has to be a better way. And then...
my sponsor, Flexispot, sent me the C7 Morpher. The Morpher is adjustable. Very adjustable. It's so adjustable. It's adjustable. You can pump up the lumbar support and... let it all out.
And they're so proud that the arms and lumbar support recline with the back.
Now, if you've got the version with footrest, you can laze around on it, or if you're a bit of a hippie, you can sit cross-legged if that's your thing, or if you see the boss coming, you can flip it under the seat and no one will ever know. It has a mesh back, cool in the summertime. Now, what sort of armrests do you like? Do you like the Bond villain type, or maybe forward for the starship captain look, or something more moderate? But what about the height? You can adjust that up or down, and the width. Do you like the jewelled throne of Aquilonia look, Crom? Or perhaps you want the racing angle? Also, you can put them at different heights if that floats your boat, which might suit certain positions, like this one.
And to get $30 off your very own C7 Morpher, you can click the link in the description and use the code C730. Right, now to get back to editing this thing.
Should my fortress be attacked, I will not defend it by putting my two best men alone on the outside amongst the mass of the enemy. When I order my archers to draw bows, I will not wait for ages before giving the order to loose, because that would tire their arms out needlessly. When I do give the order to loose, I will shout loose, or perhaps release, or even shoot. I will not shout fire, as this will just confuse the men who are not armed with firearms. I will build a curtain wall, but I will place it somewhere where it actually defends something useful, like the main keep. I will not place it off to one side of the keep where it defends nothing more than a little muddy cul-de-sac. My enemies cannot be relied upon to waste their men attacking a useless structure. I will hope that my enemies will also bring an army armed mainly with pikes, because pikes are next to totally useless in a siege. If I have hundreds of superb archers who can shoot at a phenomenal rate and get a kill with almost every shot, I will get them to shoot a lot before ordering them to withdraw, or, as a last resort, charge. If I am able to organise a relieving force, I will not start a massive, dense cavalry charge at the top of a farcically steep slope, because it would take just one horse near the front to trip, and the resultant pile-up would be embarrassing. I will make my main gate very strong, because there is a chance that my enemies might try hitting it with something like a battering ram. I will do this long in advance of a siege, and not leave it to the last possible minute. Behind my main gate, I will place a portcullis. This will make it very hard for enemies to enter. Behind my portcullis, I will build many arrow slits either side of the path through the bastion, so that any enemies getting past the portcullis will be shot at from both sides. In the floor of the bastion tower, I will put many murder holes, so that rocks and boiling water can be dropped down onto anyone who gets past the portcullis. I will place a second portcullis and perhaps a second gate at the back of the bastion, so that any enemies who get through the first portcullis will be trapped in the bastion while falling prey to the arrows and raining rocks mentioned previously. I will pick a location for my fortress that cannot be cut off easily. A poor location would be at the head of a very steep-sided narrow valley. I will place my fortress where the enemy cannot climb up and rain rocks down on top of it from the mountain above.
We are so doomed.
Could be worse. How could it be worse? Could be raining. You just had to say that, didn't you?